such a great question. I'd love to hear about the decision between ACT and TC chemo. I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer 3 months ago, and I did see an oncologist early on. And she did go through with me about the possibility that I was going to have ACT chemo regimen. At that time, we only knew that I had breast tumors and I had a lymph node with a tumor. This was pre-surgery, so all we had was a biopsy, and we knew that I was hormone positive, HER2 negative at that point. I had the MammaPrint test, which is similar to the Oncotype test. They both answer the same questions, except that they're just different brands, and it depends on what your cancer center or your hospital chooses to use. There's no one that's better than the other. They both tell you the same thing, which is how receptive your cancer will be to chemo treatments. So if you have a high score, typically that means your cancer is more receptive to chemo, and you may have chemo first to downgrade or downsize the tumors before they remove it with surgery. In my case, my MammaPrint score was very low. My cancer type is not that receptive to chemo, so they went for surgery first, and I had a lumpectomy. That was in my breast. They had originally thought it was just one bigger tumor, like 1.2 centimeters, and it turned out to be 2 small ones, one that was 4 millimeters and one 8 millimeters. The lymph node tumor was poking out a little bit from the lymph node, so it was sticking out and it was out there. Ultimately, when I revisited the issue of chemo with my oncologist at that time, because of all the new data, revised it and said she didn't think I needed the ACT regimen, that I only needed 4 rounds of TC chemo. And at that time, this oncologist said, well, you kind of have a decision that you could make because the MammaPrint score is so low that you might decide not to do chemo. Chemo only gives you less than 5% added benefit. I was thinking about this very, very hard because I have a huge family history full of cancer. I don't have the BRCA gene mutation, but at the same time, I still got the same cancer as my sisters, and I felt that I needed to do chemo just for my own sake of, given my luck, given the fact that if there's any recurrence, I want to know that I have done everything possible to stop this. So I ended up going to the cancer center for a second opinion and saw a second oncologist. And she said, you're premenopausal, you were going to get 4 to 6 rounds of TC chemo. And I said, why 4 to 6? She said that the optimal number of rounds of TC chemo for me would be 6, and that there was added benefits to having 6 over 4. But that, after 4 rounds of chemo, depending on my side effects and how I felt about it, maybe a lot of people would not want to continue to do 6, that they would feel okay with 4, and that's where they would be comfortable ending it. So I'm going to go for 6. I think that I want to do everything I can to have the best possible outcome, and hopefully I'll get there. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments and follow along for more of my journey and more